Good morning, Mindset Recovery friends. This is Roberto. It has been approximately, I would imagine, I haven't checked, but I imagine it's been about 30 days since my last video. Um, if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I pretty much did the 28-day shuffle of picking up a white chip every 28 days and then finally buckled down and started working the program, taking suggestions, working steps, I committed to 90 meetings in 90 days, which is a common 12-step theme. Get you in the, it's good to go to the meetings and be able to get the stuff out and listen to people share, but it also gets you in the habit of going to a meeting every day. But I was almost going to a meeting every day before in earlier attempts at getting clean. And I thought that was enough. But what I found is, if I try to work this program my way, it has been unsuccessful. I've had limited success. But when I finally started to clean the wax out of my ears and follow the program the way that it was designed, I then started to see success. So, that's very telling for me. So I've gone to 60 meetings in 60 days. And yesterday I picked up my 60-day ship for the first time ever in the last 30 some years. So that's amazing. I'm stoked. I hope that I finally have learned how to work this program properly, gain some humility and acceptance. I struggled with step one for years, because my problem with step one is that, I could admit that I'm powerless over alcohol and substances because the evidence was right there in my face. But what I could not see was the unmanageability. Because for me, like I've talked about in other videos, I didn't lose my house. I didn't, lose my family. I didn't, whatever. I wasn't in an institution anywhere. I still had a job. So for me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm knocking this thing out of the park. But what I realized eventually after I had a stroke and I still couldn't get it under control, and I'm in the program and trying to work the program, and I'm still just can't, get it right, keep stumbling. I'm like, I cannot manage this disease. So step one is that we admitted we were powerless over our disease and our lives had become unmanageable. So it just took me some running around, or like my mama would say, like a rat on a rat ring. It just took me a little bit longer of running around doing that rat on a rat ring thing before I said, you know what? I do not have this. And so I decided to completely give myself to this program, which is what, the 12 steps ask for. I'm plugging in my computer here. It's what the 12 steps ask for. In the beginning, we beg of you to, I can't remember exactly what it says, but earnest from the beginning, something like that. I'm sorry, but I thought I was, but I wasn't. And then when I finally did give myself to this program all the way, it's been successful for me. I haven't read from this book in a while, but I've talked about it in past videos. It's The Steps We Took by Joe McHugh. He did the big book study tapes for AA, but this program is applicable for any 12-step program. I'm going to go to step 2 here. So step 2, is willingness. So, whoops. That's not. Sorry that I'm not more prepared here, but I actually did not wake up this morning deciding that I was going to do this. It just kind of came to me, and I was just excited about picking up 60 days. Finally, been so, disenchanted with myself, blaming the program, and it's just I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I wasn't being willing. So, step 2, it says in the book, there is a solution beyond ourselves. This is what sanity is, the ability to see the truth. And if we can see the truth, then we will be free from the problem. So in the 12 steps, AA and NA, step 2 is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So basically, I'm admitting to myself that I can't handle the problem by myself. Once we see that we can't handle a problem ourselves, a whole new set of possibilities opens up. Then we can look at avenues beyond ourselves. We don't have access to those possibilities as long as we are trying to solve everything within ourselves. So the second principle is the solution, which we can come to after we surrender. As we have said, surrendering means saying that something is beyond our control. Surrendering puts us in a position for a different alternative. So the thing that's, the 12 steps, AA especially, this is an older program. It was started in the 30s, and they talk a lot about God, and they do say the God of our understanding, but a lot of people are very put off by the concept of God. Maybe they just refuse to believe in God. Maybe they were raised in a religion that their God wasn't really a nice God. Their idea of God is, punishing, angry, bad dude. So as soon as they hear the word God, they bristle and they're just like, well, I can't do this program. It requires me to believe in God, and I don't believe in God. So I think having been, 20 some years later when it was formulated, same program basically, in my opinion, but they really shy away from that. It's more of a higher power, because even in AA, it just says that, we are not required to believe in anything specifically, but obviously, drugs and alcohol, whatever we're addicted to, has been our higher power up to that point. I know, you can say you don't believe in anything, but, if you're a drug addict, were you sitting at your house, you gave money to a drug addict to go get you some drugs and bring them back to you, even though that is a very sketchy proposition, your faith was in operation. You were like, this dude is going to come back with my money or my drugs. Maybe sometimes he didn't, but, we were willing to put our belief and our faith out there because we wanted something. And that, the high had really become something that I'd been chasing, whether it be alcohol or other substances or, sex or, whatever it was. It could be porn. It could be gambling. It could be, food. We don't even realize it, but these things we're looking for outside of ourselves to fulfill our needs and satisfy us. And the problem is that physical things never do satisfy us. So we're constantly wanting more and more and more. It's never enough. The reason that I did something one more time is because the last time wasn't truly satisfying. And so that relationship with my higher power eventually that I achieve through working these spiritual principles is the thing that satisfies me so that I don't have to run out and put all these other things in me to try to satisfy me, which ultimately don't satisfy me anyway. So, I mean, it's a long process. Um, the reason why drugs and alcohol are so insidious for me is because as an addict, things just get on my nerves. Other people get on my nerves. I'm easily irritated. I'm impatient, and I can go through life for a little while dealing with all that crap, but it's just building and building and building until it's like a tea kettle that's on the stove boiling water, and the boiling's going on, and then eventually the steam starts coming out and it whistles and makes all that noise. Well, when my steam kettle finally went off, I needed something to disconnect from all the stress that was bothering me, the people that were getting on my nerves, whatever. And so I would, I'd blow off some steam. That's what I used to call it. So I'd get loaded, and I'd feel regretful the next day, whether whatever it was. If I was regretful just because I decided that I wasn't going to use or drink that day and I did, then I felt bad about myself, guilt and shame, whatever. Maybe I, spent a bunch of money that I wasn't planning on spending, whatever it is. So the next day I was bummed. Maybe I woke up feeling like crap and I had to go to work and I regretted the fact that I hadn't waited till I was off the next day. I mean, any number of things it can be, but I just couldn't take it anymore, and I just had to do something to get that out. And it would last me, for me personally, I wasn't addicted physically to a drug like an opiate or anything to where I had to have it or I got sick, or even alcohol. People that have used alcohol to the point where they're physically addicted to it, when they wake up in the morning, they got to drink more alcohol, or they go through, whatever. It's the the big book of AA calls it the jitters, but I mean that's from the 30s. I don't think people call it the jitters anymore. But I mean the shakes, whatever. I personally haven't experienced them by the grace of God. I'm glad, but I mean I'm not better than people who drank that much alcohol. I just, it's not how I drank. But at any rate, you know, I'm eventually drawn back to whatever substance I'm currently using. I smoked marijuana from my teens up into my, late 30s pretty regularly. And I mean, things got on my nerves. I had weed. I had a bowl with me in my truck all the time. And, things would just happen to piss me off. And I smoked, which I think I was, self-medicating for anxiety. I had anger issues, whatever it was. But the problem with weed was that, if I smoked weed in the morning, I felt good, but then I had to smoke it all day long because then I got like 10 times as irritated at dumb stuff that happened. And so I was smoking weed all day long, and I finally and then I felt like crap at the end of the day because I'd been getting high all day. I was burned out, tired, headache. And often that was what led me to drinking because I mean, I felt like crap. And so I would, drink at night for a different buzz, I guess. I mean, none of this is really conscious. It's just looking back, I see these patterns. And so, I got to the point where I was older, in my 40s and 50s, I would still smoke, but, not all day long, only, more socially because I still liked getting high, but, I'd smoke weed at night when I was winding down before bed and just go to sleep. And alcohol too. I mean, that's always how I was pretty much with alcohol. I wasn't a day drinker where I'd get up in the morning and drink some alcohol before I'd go to work. calm down or whatever. I know people that do that. I've known people over the years that did that, got to the point where they physically had alcohol that they needed to drink so that they could function. And that really sucks. But my situation was, I'd work all day. And then later in the day, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I wouldn't even think about it, but I'd stop and get alcohol on the way home. So anyway, these are all, I had to surrender to the fact that I was powerless over that. I kept doing that crap for literally over 30 years. It never worked out the way I wanted it to. I always thought there was a magic formula that I would discover that was going to help me, deal with my life. But really, it wasn't my life that was the problem. It was me. So now that I'm in the program, I'm working steps. I'm learning what the things were that drove me to substance abuse in the first place. And I'm dealing with those things head on. That's what the program helps me do. So step 2 is now I've realized in step 1 that my life's jacked up. And step 2 is, I realize that, I need to do something different. And I do that. I realize, what is it, a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, I believe. I can't damn see. Oh, yeah. I came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So that's what I was talking about. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be God. I mean, my concept of God is he's definitely a power greater than myself. But for people who don't believe in God, if you go to a 12-step meeting and you look around and there's 20 or 30 people in the room, which at any given time, and depending on what meeting there could be, and they no longer have to use substances to get through the day. Well, they've found some power, because like I was saying, my power was, I turned my power over to drugs and alcohol to make me feel better. And that was a power that frankly wanted to kill me. If I would have continued on the path that I was, using substances to feel better and deal with my day and blow off steam and everything that I did over and over for over 30 years, I would not be making this video right now, because I had a stroke. It almost killed me. And that's kind of what gave me the wake-up call. It didn't give me the power to fix my situation, but it gave me the willingness, the gift of desperation, to say, hey, man, if I keep doing this, I'm going to be dead. And I decided that I didn't want to be dead. And so, there's got to be a power greater than yourself, because, if you can't stop, then whatever willpower you have, whatever power within yourself, it's not working. If you're not an addict, if you're not, addicted to a substance, and you're using a substance to the point where it's negatively impacting you, you need to stop. And if you're not addicted, you can stop. And if you've been trying to quit and you can't quit, then you can't stop. And then you need something to help you stop. And we realize that no human power could help us. And, maybe it's the power of the group, it's the power of the program. It doesn't matter what power you pick. When you get in the rooms and you find a sponsor that helps you work these steps, maybe your sponsor is your higher power. I got to call so-and-so and get them to help me figure this out, help talk me down. I'm ready to go out and buy drugs or get drunk. I mean, it can be whatever you want. I heard a guy in a speaker meeting say that he couldn't do this because he didn't believe in God. And so he was telling us, this guy in the program that ended up being a sponsor, oh, I can't do that because I don't believe in God. And he said, it doesn't have to be God. And he said, you could turn your power, your life over to this chair over here. And he was like, well, that's stupid, but whatever, to shut this old man up, he said. Okay, I turned my life, my will over to the power of that chair. He goes, well, good news, kid. Your life is no longer in the hands of an idiot. Which is, I mean, it's obviously that's a ridiculous example, but I wouldn't pick a chair. I mean, I believe in a higher power. And so it was easy for me to make that decision. But I mean, if you're an atheist or an agnostic and you don't want to die from this disease, it could be good, orderly direction. I mean, it could be, that's what people say for God, good, orderly direction. Follow these steps. They'll teach you how to deal with life on life's terms. The program, if there's 50 people sitting around in this room and none of them does drugs anymore, clearly they have something that I don't have. If I walk in there dejected and sad and hating life, and they're doing good and they're happy and they're also addicts, but they've learned how to live without drugs, clearly they have something that I don't have. So that's all it is. Power greater than yourself. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be the universe. It could be any God that you choose. It's the God of your understanding. It doesn't matter what it is, because you just need faith that this power can help you do something that you're powerless to do. The rest of it comes, when you're in the program and you're learning the steps, it's spiritual principles, it's not religious. Your idea of a higher power will probably change over time. But, it's a just for today program. If you are waking up in the morning and all you can think about is getting high and you can't stop, then you need something right now that's going to be able to help you. And you'll be able to figure out what it is. And over time, as long as you're clean and you don't die, that's what matters. So for me, this wasn't the hard part. That, for me is, yeah, okay, I'm screwed up. I can't fix this. I've tried. Step one. Step two, okay, I can't do this, but there's something that can help me. And I just have to, believe that there's something out there that can help me. That's step two. Simple. I'm screwed up. I can't fix this. These people are doing a good job. They're happy. They're clean. They've got something that I don't have. I want it. I don't know what it is, but I believe that they have something that I don't have. Simple. That's step two. And, so praise report here. I got my 60 days. Whoop, whoop. I'm, hopefully in 30 more days, you'll be hearing from me and I'll be picking up a 90-day chip. And, that will be amazing. And I know that there's a few things that I have to do. I'm working steps. I just finished step 3. I'm getting ready to start step 4. We're not going to get too far ahead on that, because if you are watching these videos in order, you're on step 2. But I just want you to see that there's hope, because if you watch my videos, you see me for the last 2 years trying to do this program, doing better, getting to a better headspace, but still stumbling about once a month, which is better than what I was doing before, because I was using almost every day. Still working, living my life, trying to do better, but still, not being able to, I was doing it every day. Then I got to where I did it about once a month. And then I finally got tired of failing. And I said, okay, I got to do this. I got to follow the program exactly the way it's written. I got to take suggestions of people in the program who have what I want. And it says, if you want what we have and you're willing to go to any length to get it. Well, I was willing to go to some serious lengths. I was willing to inconvenience myself. I go to probably 5 of these meetings a week. I'm going to therapy. So I'm putting myself out a little bit, but I wasn't, you got to be willing to go to any length. And I got people in the program that has stumbled and tried to do it their way, saying, you know what, man, you're going to have to go to a meeting every day. And I'm like, well, why do I got to go every day? Why? Because you're putting forth enough effort to make yourself feel like you're doing something, but you're not achieving your goal, which is 100% abstinence from drugs and alcohol. And so if I want that, if I want what they have, I have to be willing to do what they've done. And they're telling me, oh, I went to 90 meetings in the first 90 days. And I'm like, well, I went to, 80 meetings in 90 days. Well, I didn't find the relief that they had. So clearly, if I want what they have, I have to be willing to do exactly what they did, not modify the program to what I think I need to do, not almost take almost 90 meetings in 90 days. Also, I got to be willing. My biggest problem was when it got really hard, I would be fine working the program until they say in the program, when your ass is on fire, when I'm like really, really having a compulsion to use, then I would say, all right, this is too hard. I can't do this. And I would cave. I had to make up my mind that no matter what happened, I'm not going to use. And I know what to do because I have the tools of the program. I can meditate. I can do breathing exercises. I can go for a walk. I can call people. There's different things that I can do. What tools in this program besides picking up drugs can I do to not pick up drugs? And it's whatever it takes. I've done hardcore praying, calling people, trying to distract myself, mindfulness meditation. The toolkit is immense. And, some of the things don't work for me. So that's where I get to adapt the program. Well, you know what? I tried that. It didn't work for me. My sponsor says they do this. Let me try that. Oh, you know what? That one actually seems to help me. That's what I'm going to do. And that's how we adapt the program. We don't get to change the basic things. We get to pick and choose from the choices as to what choices we like the best. And, it's finally starting to work for me. And, don't give up hope if you've been struggling. Look at me. I started this program when I was in my early 20s. I am now getting ready to turn 55 this year. Finally, something's clicked in my brain. But one thing is I was tenacious. I have not given up. Why? Because I knew that this disease was going to kill me, and I didn't want to go out like that. And so I had to persist in this program until it started to work for me. And, I just have this one day. Hopefully the next time you see a video, I'll have 90 days, but, it'll be 90 days. It'll be 30 more days of not using that day. And that's one of the things that has happened that's changed in my perspective. I knew it was just for today. I knew it was one day at a time, but I was way out in the future. And so, my thing was, I'm going to use today and I can pick up another chip tomorrow. And now I'm not going to use today and I can get high tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. So if I don't get high today ever, then eventually I will have a lot of clean time of days that I decided not to get high and just wait till tomorrow. And then eventually the thing is in the program for the people that I talk to is the thought of drugs never goes away because I'm an addict. My brain is always going to say, and it's a disease that's insidious and sneaky and trying to kill me. It's going to say, hey, you know what would be a good idea? You could get high and you would feel better. Now, everything in me knows that is a crock of shit. Maybe I will feel better for a short period of time, but I know the crap that comes with using, and I know where I'll be. But that's not what I'm thinking about right now while I'm unhappy. I'm feeling uncomfortable and I feel bad. I know that if I use a substance, I'll feel better right now. And for me, I think my high is more just giving in because I was tired of fighting the urge, and it felt so good just to say screw it. And I think I felt more high going to the bank to get the money, going up to meet the guy to get the dope, the ride home. But I mean, as soon as I started using it, I was back in that cycle of addiction. Then I was like, oh, this is going to be short-lived. I was bummed as soon as I started putting the drug in my body. That's just me. But now today, instead of just giving into it, I'm like, you know what? I can make it to bedtime tonight, and I'll feel so much better in the morning when I'm still clean. And then I thank my higher power every night, because I'm shocked every night when I go to bed. I'm like, you know what? I didn't do any drugs or drink any alcohol today. That's amazing. Maybe I can do that tomorrow too. So anyway, this is Roberto signing off. Fight the good fight, guys.